Good morning. Today, an ancient Christmas tradition celebrating dairy farmers, cheese and Chelsea pensioners. But first, a very significant change to the government's plans for inheritance tax for farmers. In the 2024 budget, the Chancellor announced that farm businesses would be expected to pay inheritance tax at a rate of 20% on estates worth more than £1 million, starting from April 2026. They paid nothing since 100% relief was introduced in the 1990s. Farming unions, countryside organisations, tax experts and even of late Labour MPs have been calling for those plans to be changed to prevent family farms from going to the wall. They've argued that many farms would be unable to pay the tax without selling off assets like land and livestock, which would make them unprofitable. There are also questions about how effective this new tax regime would be in raising revenue. Well, now the government has announced that the tax thresholds for agricultural property relief and business property relief will be much higher, with the tax only kicking in at £2.5 million. This allows spouses or civil partners to pass on up to £5 million between them. It's a change few were expecting, but Emma Reynolds, Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, told me she's heard the concerns of farmers.
Well, we've been listening to farming communities across the country and engaging constructively with the NFU. We know that there were a number of concerns around this policy. We've listened and we've taken action in order to ensure that we protect more family farms and more businesses. This is a change to both agricultural property relief and business property relief.
Well, you say that you've listened to concerns from the farming community, but bodies like the NFU and numerous tax experts have all been saying for months now that this legislation wasn't going to achieve what you wanted it to do, was never going to bring in the revenues you needed. It was going to hit family farms, not those people who are using land as a vehicle for investment. So why has it taken so long to make this change?
The reason that we are making this change now, which has been very warmly welcomed by the NFU, is that the finance bill will be going through the Commons in January, and it's important that we announce this change now so that the legislation can be amended. And as a government, I think it's a show of strength that we have continued to engage and to listen with farmers across the country and engage very constructively with their representatives. And we're making this positive change by increasing significantly the thresholds to ensure that we protect the vast majority of farms across the country. 85% of farming estates who claim agricultural property relief will now not pay inheritance tax once the legislation is passed on their farm or their business.
Many farmers will be really welcoming this news, many family farmers in particular. Is this an admission that all of those protests, all those farmers driving their tractors into Whitehall had a bit of a point? I mean, could we have saved all this trauma by just getting the maths right in the first place?
Well, I want to really recognise the constructive role that the NFU have played here. We've engaged with them very regularly over the last few weeks and months. I think it's right that we have listened to that constructive engagement. I tend not to take much notice, I'm afraid, of protests outside of Parliament. I'm sorry to say that, but I am more persuaded by quiet and private conversations that we have with farmers and their representatives. They are always much more powerful with government ministers than the louder protests, let's say.
Emma Reynolds, the DEFRA Secretary of State. The change to these tax thresholds has been widely welcomed by farming and rural business organisations. Tom Bradshaw, President of the National Farmers Union, gave me his reaction.
I think there's a massive sense of relief across the farming industry. There were many farming families that were facing into a really difficult Christmas.
Well, do you know how many of your members will be affected by this change?
We haven't had a chance to crunch the numbers yet, but we know that the average size farm will now fall below the threshold. There will still be those that are above the threshold and will have an inheritance tax liability. It will help them because the threshold is now that much higher, but they still will have a tax bill to pay.
You have been lobbying about this for months and months and months. How do you feel about the fact it has taken so long for the government to make a change?
There's 14 months of endless campaigning, and at times many people told us we were not going to get anything, but we simply could not give up because of the people and the impact on their farms, their families and their future. Backbench Labour MPs have been raising their voices over the last few weeks, and I'm sure that pressure has hugely helped our cause once they've understood the true impacts of the proposals as they were.
You know, Emma Reynolds, the Secretary of State for DEFRA, she said that the noisy protests are something that she just ignored, and that it's the quiet diplomacy and talking and collaborative work that for her makes a difference. What do you say to that? How do you react to that?
Well, I mean, that's what I've been trying to say for a long while, is that it's just proper old-fashioned, boring lobbying. It's writing to your MP. It's those private conversations which remain private and never get shared. It's the meeting with the Prime Minister just over 10 days ago when we talked about this in depth and made sure he really understood what the human impacts of the policy were. And I think that goes a long way to securing the changes.
Tom Bradshaw from the NFU. Now, a definite Christmas treat for me was a trip to the Royal Hospital in Chelsea, home of the Chelsea pensioners, for a festive event that dates back to 1692. It involves a ceremonial sword, fanfares, bagpipes, and a lot of cheese, all donated by UK farmers and cheesemakers, coordinated these days by the producer organisation Dairy UK. The centrepiece in the ceremony of the Christmas cheeses is a huge Montgomery cheddar. Dairy farmers first gave seasonal cheese to the Chelsea pensioners at the request of Sir Christopher Wren, who designed the hospital for Charles II. Before the ceremony began, I spoke to the Governor of the Royal Hospital, General Sir Adrian Bradshaw.
We'll assemble pensioners in their scarlet uniforms, quite a few of them, and staff in their blue uniforms. We'll have a pair of fanfare trumpeters, a band of pipes and drums from the London Scottish, and one of the in-pensioners will grasp a huge sword and cut the first slice out of an enormous cheddar. And that'll mark really the start of the Christmas food fest. Getting together for the Christmas ceremonies is, a highlight of the year. And this one's particularly delightful because you feast your eyes on this pile of wonderful different cheeses from right across the nation. It's important for the Chelsea pensioners to appreciate how the community outside support them, the veterans of this nation. And I can tell you the feeling is reciprocated from the pensioners to the farmers, because farmers in particular have an incredible work ethic, and their mission focus and their dedication to their job, that I think links soldiers and farmers very closely.
I've come back into the kind of grassy square, the figure court outside the main Sir Christopher Wren building here at the Chelsea Hospital. Hello, sir. Who are you?
My name is David Godwin. I'm an in-pensioner at the Royal Hospital.
Pat Callaghan, also an in-pensioner at the Royal Hospital here in Chelsea. So we're the halberdiers. Normally we do the escort for the mace.
We are going to be escorting the Governor and the Chairman from the Dairy Council UK. We'll be preceding the pipe band, forming some sort of guard of honour while they go up the steps into the Great Hall where the great ceremony of the cheese takes place.
It's all part of the tradition of the Royal Hospital.
When the hospital opened in 1692, the commissioners asked them to provide cheese, and it's been going on since. Another story is that we would patrol the King's Road as pensioners, because Chelsea wasn't the greatest place to live in the day, so we patrolled the King's Road, and that was all farmland, and so we'd keep our eye on the farmers' fields, and so the farmers would thank us with a lump of cheese at Christmas. And when you go in there and see the ceremony, we have a little more than a lump of cheese now.
Well, good luck with it all.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the day in the Royal Hospital.
Escort party, by the left, quick march.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you please to be upstanding? Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 2025 ceremony of the Christmas cheeses. So now, as usual, I call upon the chaplain to bless the cheeses. Father.
We praise and shout at this cheese laid out on this cold December day. We thank you for our friends at Dairy UK and trust that this cheese will taste okay.
Can I ask you please to cut the cheese?
And Andy's just raising the sword and bringing it down on top of the cheese. Well, what a stirring ceremony that was in honour of cheese and service to king and country. And with Andy Kay, who has been very much centre stage today, it was you wielding this marvellous ceremonial sword that you're holding now to cut the cheese once it had been blessed. It's a pretty hefty cheese, Andy. Did you cut it?
Oh yeah, well into the covering. Quite a solid cheese.
How much of a kind of honour is it to be chosen to do this?
It's great. You know, there's 300 of us, only one gets to do it every year, so no, brilliant. It's a great bit of fun, good to represent the hospital and just be here for everybody. On Christmas Day, there's a huge cheese table laid out. It's beautiful. The staff do a wonderful job laying out the cheeses for us after our Christmas pudding.
Well, don't go away, because I've got some farmers here who are responsible for some of this cheese. And I have also got Dr. Judith Bryan, CEO of Dairy UK. Judith, I was hearing about the origins of this ceremony from the hospital governor just a little earlier. You can tell us a little bit more now about the recent history and how all of this cheese actually gets here now.
Previously, the hospital would have to ask individuals and it would come in piecemeal. So we organised it into a big ceremony, and every year Dairy UK writes out to our members, we send them an email and I say to them, can you support the event this year? And I immediately get absolutely yes, because people love it.
And can I come as well? Because, I mean, you've got farmers here, and we've got Robert Craig,
Chair of the Royal Association of British Dairy Farmers and a Cumbrian dairy farmer. So we've got a lot of cows up in Cumbria, milking cows off grass, loads of cows, but obviously involved at an industry level as well.
And where does your milk go to? What cheese here does it make?
Absolutely. So First Milk, we make a lot of cheese at Espatria up in Cumbria, and also down at Haverfordwest in Pembrokeshire. So some of our cheese is out there on the table as well today.
Okay, and Tim Dale, tell me about your farm and about the cheese that your milk goes into.
Okay, so I'm a dairy farmer from Shropshire. My milk goes to Arla. Some of the cheese I've seen there on the table today is tickler and lacto-free, and it's just fantastic to be here, to be part of this event. So, it just makes me feel proud.
And when you say lactose-free, I mean, that means that any of the Chelsea pensioners who have a lactose intolerance, they get cheese too?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. They can participate in it. It's just the same as any other pensioner, yeah.
Judith, cheese making in the dairy industry is a global affair now. I mean, dairy is a commodity. It would be unrecognisable to Sir Christopher Wren. Why does the industry still turn up here?
We're honouring these gentlemen and the ladies in this hospital. It's a tradition for us too, and for the cheesemakers, and they really, really enjoy it. And many of them have come for many years, and they know the pensioners, and they love to reconnect with them when they come. The other thing we like to think we're bringing is good nutrition, Caz. You know, if you think back to military history, cheese was always in the rations.
Now, Andy, I believe this ceremony ends in the same way every year. Could you explain what that is?
It's a traditional song, one sung by soldiers for many, many years, and it is the Quartermaster's Store.
Andy, thanks so much for welcoming farming today to the Royal Hospital, Chelsea. That's about all we've got time for now, and we've got some singing to do. The programme today was produced and presented by me, Caz Graham.
There was cheese wafting in the breeze in the quarter